Hi, and welcome to On Location. I'm your host, Kurt Claycomb, and this is the time of year when we pause and reflect upon the past year with our family and friends. Today, we're going to be talking with two entrepreneurs that have started up businesses and have felt the struggles along the way. All that is today here on Location. And on our first stop today, my co-host Andy Carroll has stopped by a print shop to take a look at their business.
Hello and welcome to On Location. My name is Andy Carroll and I'm here in Springfield at Solution Printing with entrepreneur Greg Shelton. Greg, how are you doing today?
Doing well, how are you?
Good, thank you. And I see we have a special guest with us here as well.
Yes, her name is Zoe.
Nice to have Zoe with us here as well. Now, Greg, how about we start out and you just tell me a little bit about yourself?
So I was born and raised in Springfield and went to high school at Springfield High. Went away to college and came back in probably 2003 and finished at Benedictine University.
And when did you start working here?
Probably 2006.
And this is a family business, right?
Yes. So my dad started it in 2004 and I joined in 2006.
Awesome, awesome. How many employees do you guys have here?
We have 5.
5 employees. Awesome. Now, to kind of explain to our viewership, you guys are a print shop, essentially, right?
Correct.
And a lot of people may not know what a print shop does. What can you tell the viewers what you guys do here at Solution?
Yep. So we do everything from printing letterhead, envelopes, business cards, all the way up to signage, vehicle wraps, posters, anything from offset, which is basically run in the back on big printing presses. We do digital, which is quick turnaround copies, and then wide format, which is the machine you could kind of see over to the left, which that's where we do signs, vehicle wrapping, basically anything wide format.
So essentially, anything that can be printed, you guys make it.
Correct.
Awesome, awesome. Now, did you go to school for this type of stuff? Is this something that you'd always imagined doing, or?
No, kind of got tossed in. Never thought I would do printing, and somehow I'm here. So
Yeah, but it's working out for you, right?
yes, I mean I enjoy what I do. Every day's new. I mean you do a different project every single day.
Awesome, awesome. Now, you mentioned you'd been here since 2006, and I think you mentioned the business, or you came back to Springfield in about 2003. How long has the business actually been up and going?
So this will be our 10th year this year.
Wow, congratulations. That's a great feat. Now, what type of, what is your usual customer? Do you have a typical customer, or?
Sometimes. Lately we've been getting into a lot of basically flyers, posters, basically just for different events. People that are having parties. Basically we'll set up flyers for them. But typically it's every day's new. So I think last week someone came in and wanted a vehicle wrap, and it's like, okay. So every day is different.
Awesome. What's one of your most memorable jobs that you've had to do over the last few years?
Memorable.
That can be a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, we just did the mall. So we actually did a window perf on the elevators out there, and basically put banners throughout center court. Memorable. It was late nights, and I'm glad it's done. So
But that's also a very good job to have, I'm sure, as well.
correct. Yeah, I mean, it's cool to actually do stuff like that, and people can see your work. So
Now, I know there have been previous print shops around town that are no longer in business. And I know you guys, like you just mentioned, it's been 10 years. What do you think sets you apart from some of these other print shops that are no longer functioning?
well, the biggest thing is people in print shops don't want to spend money on new equipment. So basically, every day equipment changes. I mean, times change. So if you don't keep up with that, I mean, you're automatically in the dark.
And it's the same way in our industry. I mean, every month there's a new camera or some new something, new technology that we have to look into investing in. So, and that's great that you guys are able to stay ahead of the curve like that. Now, another question is that could it possibly have something to do with you guys focusing on offset and large print instead of paper products? You know, how everybody's no longer using emails, and you know, you said you do letterheads, but how much of that is your business compared to like the large offset printing and stuff like that?
So that is basically a dying industry. I mean, a lot of paper over time, I mean, probably in the last 4 years, we've seen a decrease in paper. So being in the wide format, I mean, that's what's growing for us. Anywhere you look, you'll see signs, decals on windows, vehicle wraps. I mean, you see it everywhere. So I mean, that's one huge advantage we have.
Focusing more on 3D aspect and signage type thing. And that's awesome that you guys were able to do that and continue that on that path. Now, we're here in your building, and this is over off of Stevenson Drive, correct?
Yes, so it's 3135 South 14th Street, right across from Bun-O-Matic on Stevenson.
And it's actually quite a large building in here.
Yeah, I'm not for sure the square footage, but it's big. I mean, we're outgrowing it, so we are already out of space. So
Yeah, and you look at some of the machines around here, and that's easy to tell how. I mean, you've got machines here that are 15 feet long and 6 feet deep, so.
Yeah, and of course, they keep growing, so.
Now, if somebody in town needs something printed, or you know, just wants even a consultation or anything, how's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
You can go to our website, which is just solutionprint.com, or call. The number here is 217-529-9700.
Awesome. Well, did you? Is there anything else that you wanted to touch up on that maybe I didn't catch, or that you wanted to share with our viewership?
I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I know we'll turn everything around fast. I mean, we're quick about that.
Well, that's about all the time we have here today. I would like to thank Greg. Thank you, Greg, and thank you to Solution for having us in here. I also would like to recommend to any of our viewers, if you need anything printed, come see Greg at Solution. They do a great job. They've done some personal jobs for me and on location and some friends, and they've all been excellent and turned around in a very quick manner. So once again, thank you, Greg.
Yep. Appreciate it.
I talked with Bill Beatty recently. He's in the middle of an expansion of his business, Keeping on Track. And now we're going to talk to the flip side of that coin. Again, another entrepreneur in the city of Springfield, owner and operator of Lionel Trains, and that would be Bill Beatty. Bill, thank you for letting us come into your office today. And one of the things that sparked me was, of course, the construction project here. But first, a little known fact that Bill was responsible for a program back when cable television first came to Springfield. And we're talking about the early 70s. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Tell us a little bit about that program and exactly what you did.
Well, I actually got to give the credit to my brother Kevin. Atari, the video game manufacturer, was just coming out on the market with, I believe, the old 2600 console. And somewhere along the line, Kevin found out about a little box they had that wasn't selling very well. Atari didn't know what to do with it, and what it did, it took the audio and modulated it to video patterns of different colors. And the wheels got to turning, and I said, let's do a kind of a music video back in the mid-'70s using this special little black box that Atari was kind enough to modify for us that allowed us to play the music back over cable channel 7, but also with these modulated patterns of shapes and different colors. And that became the birth of Midnight Light on Friday and Saturday nights on cable channel 7 for 5 years.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, what type of response did you get from that particular program? Because actually, I remember tuning into that program and watching these lights move to the music. And that was quite the thing back in the 70s.
That's right, kind of the psychedelic era. At the office at that time, we had a small phone system that had 5 incoming lines. And every week, we could pack or jam all 5 lines with calls, people calling in requesting certain songs they wanted to hear.
And what type of music library did you have at that time?
It was whatever we could put together. We played, again, good, I'll call it rock and roll. I was not a fan of the musical group Kiss, so that was kind of outlawed. But anything other than that, it was fair game.
Okay, and you actually still have some of those tapes around here nowadays, don't you?
The library still exists someplace in storage, and that little magical black box still exists.
That might be worth a lot of money if we pull it out. Maybe?
Well, maybe.
But Bill, the thing that really sparked On Location to be here today is what you're doing here, and you're constructing more railroad for the Lionel Trains right here at Wabash Junction, which sits inside Beatty Televisual. But you've got a major project going on here. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I was received permission from my parents a number of years ago to expand a very small business called Wabash Junction, an authorized Lionel dealer and service center, and to take over one of our larger rooms that we have here. They allowed me to build a 12 by 16 foot L-shaped layout. That layout was constructed back in 2009. It served me well, served my customers well. It was always a place of interest for small children coming in. But I decided I could do better. And so this past year we have probably just about doubled the size. It's under a work in progress, and are expanding it to incorporate more of those magical devices that we call Lionel Trains.
Sure. Now, Lionel Train didn't start for you in 2009. No. So tell us the history. Where did you initially get involved? How did you get involved with Lionel Trains? Or maybe even how were you introduced to Lionel Train?
Well, that's a very good question, Kurt. I'm going to have to put the blame on my father and his brother, my uncle. When my father was young, he worked part-time at a hobby store. And so somewhere along the line, he started to accumulate some Lionel Trains. My uncle is a talented artist, and he came up with had the ability to do the scenery and set design and that other type of work. And there are memories of my brother and I, very young, admiring the Lionel Trains. Now, the photograph I think you're going to show, my brother is all dressed up in cowboy gear, and he couldn't care, but the enthusiasm that is shown on my face has lingered with me all these years.
And so how did that evolve then? I mean, what got you initially started to collect them and then to go out and sell them?
Another good question. Like most of us, we go through as children different phases in our life, and we go from our play toys to real cars to dating women and then going on and getting married and settled down. So probably in my late teens and 20s, trains were a thing of the past. I totally forgot about them. And when I became married many years later, and having children of my own, my oldest son Aaron, his grandparents on my wife's side passed down their Lionel Train for a Christmas holiday. And that got me hooked again. I was playing with trains probably through high school, or junior high school, I should say. But getting out the Weller Christmas train and getting it running just brought back so many memories that had been locked away for a long time. And that just got me started again.
So you've created this situation here with all these Lionel trains. What is the thing about Lionel? Why are people so nutty about Lionel trains?
Well, I like to call that the orange boxes. I went through HO trains and we went through slot cars, and there's so much you can do to watch a car chase itself around a track. Mm-hmm. But with the operating accessories that Lionel offers, to be able to be more interactive, and we're talking about a hobby, if you will, that's been out there since the 30s and the 40s with this interactivity, long before video games and the computer games and things that we have today. But it was a chance for a young person to use that creativity, the imagination, and his hands to manipulate mechanical devices to do things. And that's really what I believe has kept Lionel alive for all these years, is that Lionel magic.
Right. I've seen people come in here day after day, almost at certain periods of time. The same individuals come in here, and it's almost like a mecca in the city of Springfield for people to come to Wabash Junction and just look at the layout, whether they bring their kids or their grandkids in and take a look at these trains. It's something that sparks the imagination, and which is, you tapped on a point there. It's very uncommon these days for kids to get involved like that. I mean, a lot of people will sit down with their little remote control units and play the video games for days on end, but this gives them something different.
Yes, and it's interesting because my firstborn is now 29 years old, and he remembers, and Aaron is still part of playing with Lionel trains, because it turned out to be a good family hobby of getting, working, teaching your son how to use power tools, basic electricity. So it was a good father and son activity that kept us together all these years, or has kept us together.
So you're building this new layout. What can people, when it's finished, of course, what can people expect to see when they come in here?
Well, first of all, layout is never done. There's always something that you can add or change to it. But the original layout came in a good time with Lionel, because they were going through a major track change concept. And so now I can use that 4 years of running experience to make it just that much better and to incorporate new things that weren't out 4 years or 10, 20 years ago.
Now, you have just about every known kind of Lionel trains, or you could probably get any type of Lionel trains. So people will say, well, those are expensive. But not necessarily when you think about the longevity of those machines.
That's a good point. If you keep care of them, or take good care of them, keeping them in an environment that we would like, and keep them lubricated. Lionel trains, I've seen trains that go back 80 years, okay, and are still running very good today. And I'm sure there's some out there that are even older. What has been a major change with Lionel is they've incorporated more electronics into them. And that has some of us concerned about, are we going to be able to keep these favorite toys of today running 50, 60 years from now, because of how frequent the electronic industry is changing their components tree and the computer chips and things of that nature.
So it makes them more involved, I suspect, by adding electronics to them. But they're good quality machines, and for the most part, they've got a lot of warranty with them.
Lionel offers a 1-year warranty from date of purchase, so that's good. And
you're also a servicer, an authorized service.
That is correct. Beatty Televisual, Wabash Junction, we are one of the authorized Lionel service stations here in Springfield, Illinois.
Now, you mentioned earlier that this is kind of a seasonal type of influx of business. So we're coming up to Christmas, and again, I'm sure there's going to be a big influx coming in, but why does it make it more seasonal than it is just a constant everyday thing all year long?
I think that's another good question, Kurt, and I think it's more of our heritage and our history. Lionel Trains actually started out as a display in a showroom window many years ago, back in early 1900s. And when the children saw that in the display, well, Mommy, Daddy, I got to have one. And this was all done to help a merchant around the holiday time. So Lionel Trains have traditionally been associated with the holidays, with the Christmas, and having a train underneath the tree. So here we've got my parents or my grandparents when they were little growing up with that memory of the train underneath the tree. And what's happened is that as our technology has changed, as maybe the decline, I'm sorry to say, with the family structure, we've lost that togetherness that we experienced when we were little with our families. So I have some concerns about where Lionel or the trains or the hobby in general is going to be, because kids today are more in tune to walking around playing their video games instead of getting down on the floor running some old model train.
But it seems like a lot of advantages to it, because you're inspiring them to be self-motivated, to be dedicated to their craft, as their organizational craft, and they have to be somewhat of an engineer. I mean, looking around here, you've got a lot of wires poking up in different places, and it's a large job to be able to put one of these together. And you actually draw schematics for this, correct?
Yes, I do. I without a set of drawings, I would be totally lost, because as it keeps getting bigger and we keep adding more play toys to it, the wiring does become more involved. They've taken it now to the point where we could take a tablet and control that layout with the tablet. In fact, that was my intent many years ago, to have a layout instead of having a control panel with all the buttons and switches. We have some large or medium-sized touch panel screen where I can control those trains almost just like they do the real ones from a switchyard.
Well, I know when it was completed, and you had it set up before, it was always a neat thing to see the people come in here, and especially the little kids that come in and stand up on a little stool, and watch these trains go around. It's really a spectacular thing, and hopefully when you get it completed, we can come back and you can give us a little demonstration of how your Lionel system works. Yeah. Is there anything maybe I didn't ask you about that you would want to add?
Well, what has kept me going with this, or why I got into this, is for the reason you mentioned, is the look on the little ones, to see that sparkle in their eye. And I hope that even though technology is much, much different today, that we can still keep that sparkle in the little eyes to encourage them to dream and to think of things that could be.
That's right.
Exactly.
Well, thank you very much, Bill, for allowing us to come in and On Location's proud to be here. We want to thank everyone for a terrific year here on Location. We will be returning after the holidays with more great interviews and fantastic locations. Now, you can drop us a line at On Location, care of Beatty Televisual, 1287 Wabash Avenue, Springfield, Illinois, 62704. And don't forget, like always, you could tune in and watch past episodes on YouTube, our YouTube channel, On Location 217. You be sure to have a great and safe Happy New Year. We'll see you on location in 2014.